Breaking news: the chaotic scene unfolding here in New York City. Federal authorities, including ICE agents, conducting a crackdown late today, sweeping through the well-known area of Canal Street in Lower Manhattan.
Florida was one of 10 states, including California, Illinois, New York, Texas, and Pennsylvania, that are flooding the trucking industry with illegal foreign labor. 8 employees for the DMV were arrested for selling driver's license to more than 1,000 illegal migrants without making them go through testing, training, or vetting in what authorities are calling a major driver's license fraud scheme. They accepted cash payments to bypass the mandatory requirements such as written tests, skills tests, and proof of residency or legal presence.
Neither the original intelligence coming in from the informant or the subsequent seizure of 20,000 fake driver's licenses from Hong Kong and China.
It started with a deadly truck crash in Florida. 3 people killed by a driver who barely spoke English, yet held a valid California commercial license.
We do have new details after an undocumented migrant truck driver was charged with causing a crash that killed 3 people in Florida.
That single collision led federal agents to a discovery no one expected: a secret network helping thousands of Chinese nationals enter the U.S. illegally and obtain trucking credentials, all tied to Beijing-linked nonprofits. When ICE and Homeland Security raided a Brooklyn office this summer, they found what officials now call one of the most sophisticated foreign infiltration schemes ever uncovered on U.S. soil. This is the story of Operation Twin Shield and how ICE exposed it. Hi, before we continue, your one click on the subscribe button fuels all the effort behind this and every future video. The chain of events began quietly. After the Florida crash, investigators noticed the driver's paperwork didn't add up. His name was real, but his file showed no training history, no test results, and no proof of residency. What appeared to be a one-off case of fraud quickly turned into a national security investigation when multiple similar licenses surfaced, each connected to a Brooklyn-based nonprofit called the Chinese American Trucker Organization, USA Incorporated. Publicly, the organization described itself as a professional association supporting Chinese immigrants entering the U.S. trucking industry. But as Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, and ICE agents examined the group's records, they uncovered something much deeper. The nonprofit had been funneling unvetted migrants, many who crossed the southern border illegally, into commercial driver programs, promising valid licenses in as little as 3 weeks. Behind this operation was Gang Hang, a Chinese national who also owned Red Apple Employment Agency, a placement company operating out of the same office. According to a 2024 Wall Street Journal investigation, Red Apple was known for finding work for Chinese nationals regardless of their immigration status. Agents soon discovered the 2 organizations were part of a coordinated network. Their shared goal: move unvetted migrants into licensed positions that gave them access to sensitive transport routes across the United States. Videos posted to Chinese social media confirmed the scale. Dozens of trainees filmed themselves taking driving lessons in Mandarin, using borrowed addresses from California and New York to pass DMV checks. The organization even bragged online that not one student has failed, boasting over 1,000 new commercial drivers. To ICE investigators, that claim was the first red flag because no legitimate training program has a perfect pass rate. The deeper agents dug, the more connections appeared. Records linked Gang Hang to Beijing's United Front Work Department, a political influence arm of the Chinese Communist Party known for cultivating overseas networks. That discovery shifted the focus of the case from labor fraud to national security infiltration. According to internal DHS briefings, the same community groups promoting migrant protection seminars were also teaching attendees how to resist enforcement, what to say if ICE showed up, how to use coded alerts, and how to avoid detention. One of those organizations, the Chinese American Planning Council, CPC, had received millions in U.S. taxpayer grants while simultaneously accepting nearly $500,000 from Chinese state-linked banks. Footage from a CPC-hosted meeting, obtained by federal agents, showed staff coaching migrants on how to respond during immigration raids. ICE veterans described the discovery as deeply concerning, an example of how some publicly funded nonprofits were indirectly aiding illegal migration. When questioned, CPC declined to comment, but lawmakers, including Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green, called for an immediate review of federal grants to NGOs with foreign funding ties. As Operation Twin Shield expanded, more alarming findings surfaced. ICE, the FBI, and the Department of Transportation traced more than 20,000 fake driver's licenses originating from Hong Kong and mainland China. Federal investigators confirmed that certain DMV employees in Florida had been bribed to process commercial licenses without testing or background checks. Over 1,000 unqualified drivers were already on American highways, hauling freight, fuel, and hazardous materials. To federal officials, it underscored how these illegal operations endangered not just border integrity, but public safety across the country. By mid-year, ICE and the FBI began mapping the financial infrastructure behind the scheme. Treasury analysts identified wire transfers between Bank of China, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, and several U.S. nonprofits under investigation. These transactions, though seemingly small individually, formed a consistent funding pattern supporting cultural groups, employment agencies, and driver assistance programs that collectively built an influence network. At the center of it all was another name, Wang Yibing, president of the Taishan Women's Association of New York. Wang had a long history of involvement in cultural exchange events and diaspora fundraisers praising friendship with the motherland. In October, ICE and FBI agents arrested her as part of Operation Twin Shield, citing suspected visa fraud, unregistered foreign agent activity, and misuse of nonprofit status. Her detention marked the first high-profile arrest, linking community outreach organizations to transnational influence operations. ICE officials described Twin Shield as a new phase in counter-infiltration enforcement. For the first time, immigration investigators and national security analysts worked side by side to dismantle not just smuggling operations, but the infrastructure enabling them. DHS referred the findings to the Departments of Justice and Treasury for joint review, marking one of the most comprehensive domestic counter-influence efforts since 2019. Federal records now show the operation spread across 10 states, with hundreds of licenses revoked and dozens of individuals charged. Agents are continuing to audit nonprofits suspected of using community outreach as cover for illicit coordination. According to Homeland Security sources, the mission is not only to identify illegal migrants, but to uncover who built the system that placed them in critical sectors. While the investigation is ongoing, one message from ICE officials remains clear. This case isn't about politics, it's about safety and sovereignty.